A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day, and we're going to host a panel this morning, which is about how family enterprises in Lebanon can actually give back to not only the tech startup ecosystem, but the startup ecosystem. So I would like to invite to the stage Youssef Abillama. Please give a warm welcome of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Nicolas Boukather. Oh, here you go. I'm mistaken for your twin brother. I'm so sorry. I'm lost, yeah. Nai, please have a seat. George, please have a seat. Thank you. I prefer to use this one. Is that okay? Or do we need an extra mic?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Then I'll, yeah. Here we go. So the reason why we're talking about family businesses and the tech startup ecosystem is I want to give an example of what's happening in Singapore. So we run a venture capital fund which is called Golden Gate Ventures, and one of our investors actually is a family office. And the reason why this family office chose to invest in our fund was twofold. Of course, looking for a return on their. Sorry, guys, can we fix this? Do you have a handheld? Yeah. So of course they would be looking for a return on their investment, but what they're also doing is they're opening up their family business to entrepreneurship again in a different way by helping these companies grow to the next level. So actually one of the examples which is quite interesting, and I want to use it to kick it off this discussion today is so the family office is in real estate, and we invested in a company which is called HipVan. And the company does online furniture sales. So the real estate company actually said, what we're going to do is we're going to use the furniture which is made by these young designers, which is sold online. We're going to use this furniture in our showrooms for our new buildings. So this is a way young startups collaborate with a more traditional real estate business. So we've got this fantastic panel together this morning to discuss how Lebanese family enterprises can actually give back to the Lebanese startups. And it's good to find out that also Endeavor in Lebanon, which we also have seen in Jakarta, for instance, and also in Singapore, that Endeavor actually helps these families find these startups to work with and actually help these young entrepreneurs communicate and work together with these family businesses. I'm going to ask each panel member to give a short introduction, and please tell me your name, your business, and also why would you give back to this startup ecosystem in Lebanon?
Ladies first.
Nai, can I ask you to go first?
So my name is Ghorayeb. I work with a local pharmaceutical company called Algorithm. In terms of why we like to give back, we feel like we have an obligation towards our community to support small businesses and entrepreneurs in a rather challenging business environment. So having been there, we feel like we have an obligation to give back and
Nicolas?
So good morning first. My name is Nicolas Boukather. Why we give back? Because we've been through the storm. Anthony and I, my twin brother, took over a family business about more than 10 years ago. We're 20 employees, and then we started drawing the football pitch. I'll talk about it just when you give me the time to talk about that.
Sure.
So we've reduced the age. We multiplied the employees from 20 to 200 today, despite all the crisis that Lebanon passed through.
Yeah.
We reduced the average age of employees from 49 years old to 31 years old during this time. And I think that the main reason behind all of that, and I'm asserting about that, it's innovation. And today we are saying that Lebanon is on the map of innovation, and we are ready to support the ecosystem and to be part of it.
Thank you. And we'll get back to the football pitch. I'm really curious to see how you're going to explain this. George, can I ask you to do the introduction?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Thanks, everybody. Nicolas, I'm a really big fan of what you and your brother did with your company. Really, it's an inspiration. My name is George Abou Adal. I'm the Business Development Director of Holdal, Abou Adal Group. We're manufacturing, logistics, distribution, and retail company. We have activities in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, and in Iraq. Now, as to your question, Michael, it's a very interesting question. So the question has changed, just for you to know. It has evolved. So we were discussing this topic for the past week, what would be the question, and it has evolved. And yesterday I was thinking, okay, why would we give back? Okay, let's be honest, we're not gonna give back. It's not about giving back necessarily. It's actually less philanthropic than what you think. We need this. We need this, and it's not giving back. Why do we need this? Because without the startup ecosystem, the Lebanese family business will not evolve. Honestly, I'm speaking. Why? Let's think about it for 4 different reasons. If I have really to categorize my reasons, I would think about 4 different reasons. The first one is it's totally a different culture. So interestingly, the family businesses, usually I'm saying, usually, it's my case, it might not be others' case, family business are a bit risk averse, I feel, okay? Especially when it's a 3rd generation family business and the 2nd generation is like more wise, they don't want to take these risks, et cetera, et cetera. When you give back or you get involved with startups, you actually learn from their risk-taking a bit more. Also, they learn from your risk averseness. So this combination of 2 cultures is actually super interesting if you think about it well. It's 2 different complete cultures, not only in the risk-taking, but also in the creativity. Entrepreneurs in Lebanon and elsewhere also are super creative. And this is what I learned in the past 2 years that I've been involved with entrepreneurs. I learned so much from their creativity. Whereas family businesses usually, and I'm talking about my case, and might not apply, are not that creative because they've been in this business and they think that what they're doing is the right thing, but sometimes they're not thinking outside the box enough. So this is one reason. Second reason why it's a need. It's a need because at the end of the day, guys, business solution will come from the tech world. This word is evolving so much, and we cannot anymore put the tech aside. So if you're not involved in the tech scenery, if you're not involved in the tech world, you're not going to understand what your future business solutions are. Third, I would say why it's a need and not a giving back necessarily, because it's going to revolutionize, it's going to disrupt your business model. Technology is going to disrupt business model, and especially for Lebanese family businesses that have been a bit traditional, like us, for example, we're in distribution, we're in retail, we're not too techy. So if we don't understand how the tech world is going to disrupt our business model, if we're not super involved in it, then we're going to lose big time in the future. Last but not least, when I thought about it, it makes total sense when it comes to an investment. Yes, okay, it's an asset class that's pretty risky, I have to admit, but if you don't invest as a family office, or if you don't have a family office as a person in the tech, you're not diversifying your assets enough. So I would think that for investment, it just definitely makes sense if you do it right and if you do it in an informed way. And this is why it goes back to number 1, get involved to understand what you're doing.
Thank you, George. Youssef, could I ask you to do a short introduction and also answer the question, why would you be involved as a family business in this entire tech or startup ecosystem?
Okay. I'm part of the Abillama Group. We are a third generation family business, starting with the traditional manufacturing, automotive business. Then we shifted to more service or oriented and real estate. And now we are like naturally also moving into technology. So in our DNA as a family, entrepreneurship is something we really valued, and we really valued in the sense that we are here today because of innovation and because of entrepreneurship. So this is really a very core values in our DNA as a family business. And I think Lebanese in general are really creative and entrepreneurship and ambitious people that have really to fight to survive. So I think this is also part of the ecosystem, if we take it. Why technology and why? I think innovation is key in any growth, in any business. If a business does not grow, it stagnates. If it stagnates, it dies. You know, you cannot give to the people, to your people, opportunity to move within any organization if you are not growing at a fast rate. So innovation is really key if you want really to sustain yourself. So this is very important, you know, the why. The second one is that today, if you see the trend, like George is saying, that technology is going to disrupt within 10 years every business. Already a lot of industry have been disrupted by technology. And I think if you don't move, if you don't change before you have to change, I think any industry is going to be disrupted, going down, etc. So you have to be proactive in the sense of innovation, of really interacting and creating and helping an ecosystem to be created in order to understand what are the trends, in order to acquire the expertise from a technology point of view. So as a family ourselves, what we have done today is first help and give back to understand the ecosystem. For instance, we have done an award in coordination with the EUB. We have been running this award now for the second year to encourage entrepreneurship, innovation, coupled with sustainability. You know, for instance, last year we had like 32 applicants to this awards, and the winner of these awards has been going through SPEED, the incubators. So this is what's the giving back part. And this helps us indirectly also. It's not, we are not doing it only, you know, as a purely non-profit, even so this is already, but also we are benefiting indirectly because we are understanding, we are interacting with a lot of young people. So this is also very key. You know, whenever you give back, it's an exchange. Life is an exchange. You give back, you receive back. So you try to understand, you understand the ecosystem. So this is how we are doing it, you know, in a way of changing, giving back, and the technology. And the last reason also, you know, for the technology, the why, is really to, you know, to have the next generation, you know, our, my children, my brother's children, etc., to get also into technology, because today, you know, all young people, their dream, like the Lebanese dream, I think, of tomorrow, thanks to all what's happening today, is really to be an entrepreneur, to innovate, to create, and to be a success somewhere. So we are preparing also a platform for them to understand really all this ecosystem.
So thank you very much for the introduction, and very clear on why. Before we get into the soccer pitch, I'm a soccer fan, by the way, so I'm really curious about how you're going to explain this. I have a quick question for George and Nai. So the thing you share with startups is entrepreneurship. you know what it is to, start a business and go through the entire cycle of, failure, success, difficult times. But on the other hand, I hear startups say, whenever we work with large corporates or large family enterprises, it feels like there's a sense of fear. There's a sense of fear that these startups will, disrupt our business. What is your view? I want to ask this question to the both of you, and if Nicolas and Youssef want to chime in, please do. So, how do you make sure that you're not one step behind, but you're actually on the same page with these startups? How do you make sure that you're not always one step behind in terms of collaborating with these startups?
So let me get this clear. You mean in terms of investment or in terms of collaborating with startups?
Collaborating. We're going to talk about investment a little bit later. I'm actually talking about collaborating with startups. So how do you make sure, for instance, that you use their technology in your core business without slowing them down as a startup?
Okay, I'll be very honest with you. Until now, we're very careful about how we use the product of startups, okay? And how we use tech. We don't try to use the best technology. We try to use the most appropriate technology. What this entails is that we're not necessarily the most pioneers in technology use. We're not going to go be the first to use this type of technology. That's not who we are, because we don't understand the technology enough to be able to be the pioneer in using it. What we're going to do is we're going to pretty much, on the S-curve of technology, we're going to be on the top of the S-curve. We're going to try and follow and be one of the first followers of this technology, i.e. we wait till we see success stories being done, okay? And the first set of success stories using this technology, using this startup product, if we see that it's it will bring success and it's a success case, we are going to use it. So yes, I'm not going to tell you that we're going to be the first to do it and we're going to risk. No, we're not.
Can I ask you to
we're
respond?
actually probably. So let me start with a bit of a correction. We're not big corporations. We're in the big scheme of things, we're startups ourselves. So 200 employees, 600 employees, 600 doesn't qualify as big corporations. We tend to be less risk averse. We're actually more aggressive because we still consider ourselves entrepreneurs and are willing to take risks. So in our business specifically, we look at entrepreneurs not just in terms of tech. So we look at possible startups in local startups along two axes, the ones that fit our business model quite well, and we think about how we can provide them with a platform that they wouldn't have had otherwise to drive the growth of their company. And of course, there's an advantage. So one example is there's a non-tech startup company based in Tripoli called Ta'a. They do cereal bars and biofoods. And they've been selling in small stores and have been looking to expand. And we have a large distribution network, so even though the volume is very small, we can afford to take on her products because the incremental cost to us is null. So that's one way for us to support. When it comes to tech, we understand that tech and big data specifically is a value add service that we can provide to our partners. So we tend to be quite innovative, and we're pushing a lot on the technology front. There's a third axis, which I'm just thinking of. So as you know, Lebanon doesn't have power. And there's a lot of startup companies, and one in particular that is thinking about, is supported by Endeavor. We got to meet them there. Think about how to be more efficient in terms of usage of our generators, or also generate power and resell that power. So wherever there's an idea that fits our business model, we go to the local companies first, and then we look outwards. So I just have a slightly different view. We do take risk in this way.
Okay. So one of the important questions will be, how do you eventually work together with these startups? I know, Nicolas, you have prepared a quick presentation.
No, I just have a slide which we can show at any time.
Yeah, okay,
But
good.
I second.
Can we get the slide up? Because I would like to.
I would like to say that I second the point of Nai, whereby investing into companies in the same ecosystem as ours makes much sense. So this is where the football pitch come in.
Yeah, good.
And when we decided, Anthony and I, to look at our strategy, we've seen that big companies have disappeared or have lost all their value because they haven't been able to look at this innovation, let us say, what's happening around them. And this is because of fear. You said the word fear earlier. Yeah. Family enterprises are usually very conservative as a system. But at the same time, it holds values. So can you imagine if we, in a family enterprise, which holds value on the long term, we can really control the fear factor, because fear is important as well to succeed, but not to have too much fear. So to give you an example, Nokia disappeared because of fear. They were afraid of understanding that somebody like Apple was coming inside the business. And the managers was not really talking with their upper management about what's happening. And the reports were sent wrongly. And a few years later, they discovered that this was too big for them. They started to do the same business. It was too late, and they failed. And they lost $100 billion in market cap. So when we look at the football pitch, we see that there is, a defense, a middle field, and an offense. Okay? And what we think is a defense for a family business, it's the base. It's the business that was going around for 50, 100 years, and maybe more. This business provides the stability. But in case we just stay on the defense and we forget about the middle fielders and about the offense, we would have a goal. Usually in a football game, in the last 10 minutes, it has been proven that the winning team, the team which was having an advantage at the start, are afraid about losing the game and start defending. And at that time, this is when the goal comes in. And this is when they lose the game. So the idea is just to have a good defense, which is the past and the present, but at the same time to create other innovations in the same business, which will let them have a middle field and an offense. To come to practical stuff, what we've done, okay? What we've done, we are into the automotive business. We decided 7 years ago to hit into the motorcycle business. It's a kind of the same ecosystem. This was a very difficult scheme in Lebanon, and the market was too small. So we developed the market, and 7 years later, what was an offense, which was motorcycle business, is now a middle field, which is today a business which is maturing, okay? And we're market leaders with 50% market share in 7 years' time in this field. At that moment, 3 years ago, we said to ourselves, now we are moving and we need to find a new innovation. We need to move forward. So what would be our offense in the 7 years which are coming? And here we thought about innovating inside the internet space and the application space. Yeah. So we brought all our knowledge in terms of cars and motorcycles and the history we had in that, the relationship this industry had with banks and insurances, and put all of this scheme inside a website and an application. And this is a startup which is being developed as we talk. So always be ready on defense, always have an offense, and don't be afraid, and try to propagate inside the company this field that the chairman, the CEO, the top managers are not afraid to talk, to speak openly with people inside the company about all the opportunities, and really have something called an innovation room. This is what we have inside our company. We have something called an innovation room, whereby we meet at least with the top management once a week, and we discuss topics.
Yeah. Okay. I want to talk a bit about investing in startups, long-term versus short-term. So, Youssef, there are different ways of getting involved in startups, and we're seeing more and more family offices either having their own investment arm, setting up their own VC or investing in venture capital firms even. So how do you structure investing in startups? What is your idea about how do you structure your investments in startups?
We are still at the early stage of formulating and defining the strategy. But what we are doing today is having like a corporate VC, which is a little bit different than what let's say Leap and Veritech are doing. It's like our internal VC, focus on industry we understand well to minimize risk. And also for us, and here I agree with Nicolas, I think that existing business are very lousy at innovating. I manage a lot of businesses that are maturing, that are running relatively well. And when you ask the businesses itself to innovate, usually they don't do it very well because they are focused, on budget, they are focused on really running what they have already, and they don't want to take risk and to go outside. So I think investing into startup technology, what we want to do through corporate VC, venture capital, is a way of outsourcing the innovation. Because to innovate, you need a team of passionate people that are willing to take risk and are willing to be rewarded for the risk they take. So when you have, for instance, regular employee, usually you have, their salary and you have a bonus system, but it's not enough, because a lot of these people, I don't think everybody is an entrepreneur. Yeah. So, you need to really outsource innovation by creating a startup and by having an entrepreneur. So this is the philosophy behind what the strategy. So the way we are doing it is having corporate VC focus on industry we understand, but that need to innovate. So in our case, for instance, it's real estate service and automotive service. So everything around the built environments, buildings, any services, existing service to which we can add technology as an enabler to innovate, or automotive. For instance, now we are doing a startup. We are funding a startup in the automotive ecosystem, which is car wash on demand, like dry car wash environments, through having technology, having make convenience wherever you are. So this is a kind of innovation and a kind of startup. So to answer your questions, it's narrowing the sectors to which we want to focus. For instance, we don't understand media, we don't understand gaming, all these industries we will not look at. So narrowing. Second thing is to put a budget, because you have to fund this company. So we are planning to have like 10 to 15 company within the coming 3 years in which we will invest. We don't want to be majority in this company because we want the driver of this company. So we prioritize here people over ideas. What's very important is the team. You can have, let's say, a B idea, but with an A team. So people is very important, in executions. So this is the second thing. So it's really looking for these people we can link in. And third thing is to be a strategical. We don't want to invest only like putting money and sleeping on the money. We can put it with all this successful funds, we saw here around this event. So we want really to drive the strategy, but without being in the day-to-day of the business, by having a board seat in this company, having something maybe like 20, 25% equity, knowing that there will be a dilutions factor in time. So this is the way we are approaching, if you want, technology, startup, and investments. And of course, having also last advisor, a set of advisor, because we are not coming from pure technology sectors. So having people also advising us where to invest, what are the trends, and helping us and educating us to have wiser decision, knowing that, as you know, startup and innovations in general is a very risky thing. So, you know, everybody talks about the 10-90. You have to, you know, you have to accept to fail 90% in order to succeed 10%, you know. So if you don't accept these ratios, innovation is not the, you know, the things you should look at, you know.
Okay.
And this is the main barrier in Lebanon because, you know, we are used to traditional brick and mortar kind of thinking where you invest in stone, in real estate, in traditional business. So, you know, I know within my family, when we start talking technology, they start talking about profit, they start talking about, you know, like when it will be break even, etc. So, you know, it's a complete different thinking. So if you don't have a different thinking behind technology and startup, it doesn't work, you know, because you want return, but return is not profit.
It's a different, yeah, it's different way of scaling the business. So given the time, I want to ask everyone one more question and then take a few questions from the audience. So the subject of this panel was, or is, giving back to the ecosystem, whether it's tech startups or startups in general. So besides looking at startups for, you know, your core business and for your own innovation, how can families actually give back to the Lebanese startup ecosystem? And could you give one example what you do? And I'm talking about the ecosystem in general. So what can families do more to help the ecosystem in Lebanon?
I mean, to be very practical, both of us, Santi and I, are mentors in both Mowgli, UK Tech Hub, and Endeavor. So we spend a lot of time with startups trying to let them understand the way they would prioritize their problems. An entrepreneur life is very lonely.
Yes.
I mean, we've been through that. And usually they would love to have somebody mentoring them. If they trust in him, he can really open minds, let him think about the 3,000 feet perspective, because he's usually very, micromanaging stuff. At the same time, he has to think about strategy.
Yeah.
So a mentor will help him really think about all of that at the same time,
Okay.
prioritize the problems, and move forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nai?
So for us, because our core business is manufacturing, we're very much focused on going green. So sustainable energy, renewable energy, more efficient use of energy is a way of giving back to the community at large and ensuring we're operating in an environment which we're not harming.
Yeah.
So that's the big theme for us now.
Thank you. Short?
So I would echo what Nicolas was saying, is that first is coaching, because by being involved into organization like Endeavor or other organization, and by sharing your experience with an entrepreneur, really you get, it's complementary. It's amazing. You learn so much from their way of doing things, and it empowers you, and they learn a lot from your experience. So coaching is one, and it's a big one. So I definitely do this. Second is investing, but investing smartly, I would think. Because I also agree with what Youssef was saying. I know that in my family business, so I'm not the big boss or anything, and I know that the level, the senior management team is not ready to actually have within it a super fast startup that needs super fast decision. So I would not imagine, for example, a successful e-commerce business in the governance of Holdal, Abou Adal Group today. I would not. It doesn't mean it's not, the governance is not good. It's, I think, very good compared to others, but it's not fast enough. So we need to invest in a different, complete sector. So the corporate VC thing is actually super interesting. And this is where we need also visibility on what other companies are doing. So these events are super important. So we said about coaching, investing, and third but not, last but not least, is really pushing for this. So within your own business, even if your business is not a techie business, is, like everybody here was saying, is trying to push for innovation. I really like the field court here. I think it's really a soccer game at the end of the day, and you really have to attack. Not attack too much, maybe, because if you attack too much and you put all your forces in the attack, then you're not going to have a defense. It's all about the right strategy, and it's hard. It's not an exact science. Everybody knows that. But yeah, you need to put it within your company. If somebody, if one of you have the right answer, shoot it to me, because it'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Youssef, could you?
I think the same, coaching, mentoring, this is what I think, because we have been through a lot of experience managing businesses. So what we can add is really the business sense. What maybe we lack is the technology, you know, that the youth is bringing. So if we couple this kind of wisdom, lesson learned from our mistake, and infuse it to the youth, I think there is a good ingredient. And this is what we, as a family, as I told you, we have this award, this competition. By the way, competition, and I encourage all family businesses to put a certain percentage and to do competition is a very good way of doing it, because you receive a lot of youth, you know, interested, so you filter, you interact with people, and you give them like prize awards, so they got motivated. So this is an excellent way, and I think Endeavor, I think we are all here part of this. They're doing really an amazing work. I mean, I encourage anybody to really look at what they are doing. It's amazing, you know. Already their success is worldwide, but in Lebanon, the work they are doing, I went recently to many of their workshop, mentoring. I think Nay, George, and Nicolas, you were there also. It's amazing, you know, the energy. When you see this youth, these young people really hungry for advice, you know, being alone, and they are really striving. So I think the best we can do as, let's say, seasoned business people is really giving back our experience to this youth, because it's time. It's a maturing issues, like in the football here score. You know, you have to let time teach you things. So if you can accelerate this learning curve, it will be great.
Michael, can I add something
of course.
concerning that point? I think that the family structure, if you talk about that, about innovation, you have to structure the family into family constitution. Write it down. Make sure that inside the values, innovation is existing. And then put the funds necessary to finance this innovation. So for example, what we've done in our shareholders agreements and our family constitution, we've made it clear that 5% of annual profits would go into a fund, which we call the venture fund. And this venture fund is managed by something called an innovation board of non-family members, which anybody from the family, or from a startup, which has an idea, will come to this innovation board, present let us say, his scheme, and might be financed, or even they can pitch inside the company if he needs, as equity, in order to grow the business. So really building the ecosystem like the one Lebanon is building, but building it inside every family, I think is important, because there are a lot of resources inside the family which the ecosystem has to tap in as well.
I truly think that Lebanon has an asset with these family enterprises being so forward-thinking towards startups. We've seen different ecosystems where the relationship between startups and families have become very, very difficult, where families are, you know, protecting their core business as opposed to working together with innovative companies. So can I get a warm round of applause for this fantastic panel? Thank you guys so much.